All right, let's get started here. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us on the Momentum session today on Real Estate Perspective. Let me share my screen here. Get the slideshow up for you.
Before you get started, can I share that today's my 1-year anniversary with RE/MAX?
Well, congratulations.
Yay.
We're so glad you're here.
Me too. And I celebrated it by signing a contract yesterday.
I was just going to say something about that. Yay.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Is that Karen?
It is Karen.
Hey.
Hi, Karen.
Let me, perfect. All right. So Real Estate Perspective, let's talk about why we do what we do. One infutable fact is that real estate sales is a get-rich business. And your time is your life. And those 24 hours that everybody has, we've got to maintain ourselves, our relationships, our finances, all of those mixing together with our spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional health, as well as relationships that we have with our spouse and kids and family and friends. Those two together build our aspirations, which of course need time and money. And our finances are going to come from our income and money that's available. And that little chart there with the EB, SE, and I, I'm going to go over those here in just a second. I love this quote. I live by this quote. You don't live to work, you work to live. We all forget that once in a while, don't we? Very much so. Creating an abundance life or an unlimited life of abundance requires both time and money, obviously. Our earned income makes work a necessity so that we have the money to spend. Our passive income makes work more of a choice, and it gives us both time and money. And I think that's where we all kind of want to be in this business. The options for funding your aspirations or getting that time and money come from, here's that little chart. The E stands for employee, where you're going to be working for others. Might be low cash, takes a lot of time. You can be self-employed, that S, where you're working for yourself, but you've got to develop yourself. You've got to develop systems. You've got to funds that require you. You might get a high cash return on that, but it also takes a lot of time. The business owner is finding and developing others, kind of comes with more of a passive income with a little bit of risk. So you've got a lot of income coming in with a little bit of your time invested in it. The investor is the unlimited living. That's a passive income with low risk, a lot of cash, and no time at all. We all want to be that investor eventually. We're all building a business to let it run itself. The only option that truly allows for an abundant life is on the right side of the graph, which was that business owner and investor. If you're employed by someone else, your salary is limited by the amount your boss is willing to pay you. And if you're self-employed, your income is going to be limited by the number of hours that you're willing and able to spend in your business. Most people don't progress because they place limits on themselves, which usually show up in the form of excuses as to why they can't. So in order to create that life of abundance, you must train your mind to think in unlimited terms. What are some limited beliefs that you think you possess today? Could it be that you don't have enough experience, or you don't have enough time in the day, or even so that you don't have money to get the marketing done that you think you need to get done? We need to rewrite those beliefs into unlimited, so that you do have enough experience. We all pass the real estate exam. We all have the same license. It doesn't give one person the ability to sell $1 million homes and another person $100,000 homes. We all have enough time in the day because we all have the same amount of time. What we make of it in that 24 hours is really what's going to put you into that position of business owner or investor. And then the money to fund your marketing. The return is unbelievable, but I understand that it takes, sometimes a lot to us individually to put forth that, $100 to send out postcards or to buy calendars or even to buy business cards for that matter. So we've kind of got to look at some less expensive ways to market ourselves and to get the word out that we're a realtor. So growing to your next level requires you doing something beyond what you're currently doing by adding and doing what you're currently doing at a more effective, efficient level, which is improving upon what you're already doing, and or leveraging yourself and your business by developing those systems. And all three require an open mind and willingness to learn. Since growth requires change, the key is becoming and remaining learning based. I actually saw an article yesterday. It came out in the Remax Recharge News, if you all read that. And it said what some of the top producers were offering as advice for this year and what you should be focusing on. It was a link in the Remax email. It came out last night. You really should read it. But why I bring that up is one of the people that were interviewed, she's diamond level team leader, I think in Texas, but she said this exact thing. She said, I'm going to remain learning based and acquire all that I can about everything available to my business. So what is learning based? It's I know what I know and there is more to know. And if you're not learning based, you're ignorance based. Ignorance based is I know what I know and I'll ignore everything else, or I know it all. I think taking into consideration those two phrases, you can pretty much start to identify people as you meet them, whether they're learning based or ignorance based. And the fact that you're here today indicates one thing, that you are learning based. So can someone be learning based but not committed to self-mastery? Absolutely. If you don't take away and put into action what you get from a class or from any experience, you're not going to master that. So absolutely. Remember, don't learn for the sake of knowing, learn for the sake of growing. Think of it this way. When you're learning just to know and you keep seeking knowledge, you're a sponge, you just take it all in, that's going to get you on Jeopardy, which actually doesn't even exist anymore. So it might make you the master of the Trivia Pursuit game, but it's not going to get you a successful business. So you got to learn to grow. You got to clarify your choices. You take action on those choices. You build habits. You shape your character. That determines your destiny, and it will control your legacy. So learning new and irrelevant things might be entertaining, but it doesn't increase the bottom line. What increases the bottom line is your willingness to study, practice, and implement the vital activities of a thriving agent. A willingness to focus only on the basics. Because remember, this is a basic business. It is get rich because it's a very basic business. It's not about gaining an understanding of the basics, it's about mastering them. I've been in business for now going on 21 years, and anytime that we got the housing bubble crashing, 2008, 2012, the broker would always say to us, and I was with a different Remax broker at the time, would say to us, we've got to get back to the basics. If you feel like you've just crashed and you need to start over, get back to the basics, because that's what this business is. All right, so let's reinforce that. You need to reinforce what you learn. When you hear material for the first time, you kind of get an aha moment to take away. You want to bring that experience back again and relive that aha moment so that you can start doing and being what you're learning. Success is multi-dimensional. And in the chart in front of us here, we can be intentional and inactive. That's a content person. They want it, but they're not really moving towards it, and talk is cheap. We all can agree on that. On the bottom half, you can be unintentional and inactive, which is just failure. That's what you feel like. You don't want it. You're not moving toward it. You've kind of given up and burn out on it. On the top right, you can be intentional and proactive. That's going to bring about the abundance. I want it. I'm moving towards it. Accidental and proactive leads to frustration. I don't want it, but I'm moving toward it for others' reasons. That would be that employed person. Seriously. So you got to think of it, whether you want to be intentional and proactive, or you're just going to ride this until you fall off. The internal dimension is an overwhelming, burning commitment to take action. It's a desire. It's an intense feeling of passion stemming from specifically defined aspirations and plans. The internal dimension is more about willingness than anything. The external dimension is about moving towards an environment that best supports your goals. You want to seek out the training and the systems, the tools and the relationships you need to achieve your aspirations. The external dimension is more about ability than anything else. So to become a model for success, let's focus on that intentional and proactive. And intentional, you want to define your aspirations. What do you want? And let's really break that down here. What do you want? You want to have a successful business. What does successful mean to you? Is it making $100,000 a year? Is it making $500,000 a year? Or is it closing 20 transactions? Or is it closing 200 transactions? What do you want? You got to be specific. Hope springs eternal. You want to develop your goals, plans, and strategies for achievements, your GPS. Your direction was then established, and your hope turns into expectations. Your willingness, that's that motivation, and your ability, the training that you take to implement those systems, is going to equal your expectations. Meaning, if I'm taking all this in and I'm being taught all this and I do use it and I start implementing it, you should expect that you're going to achieve what you need for those aspirations. Being proactive. You want to implement those vital activities and move towards them. You want to be consistent in your action, efficient in your action, and proficient in your action. You need to be accountable on a weekly basis. You need to focus on your progression. You need to identify your strengths and weaknesses, and your expectations will turn into reality. The summary of the equation there is that aspirations plus your direction, plus your action, plus your focus equals the achievement. A formula for success, this kind of can be read left to right and up and down. Your consulting plus your training plus your accountability, masterminding the systems equals success, just as well as, you know, the training and the knowledge and skills and taking action on that is going to equal success. So really, what do you want in a macro sense? What needs funding in your life? That's kind of what I was just covering a second ago there. Specificity is crucial because the answers, when linked to your business, become requisite justification for leaving your comfort zone, which is required. Someone used the example to me early on in the business. They said, Lee, it's kind of like if your kid is sick in the middle of the night, you're going to get up, you're going to go out to the pharmacy, you're going to get the medicine, and you're going to give it to them to make them feel better. And you're going to go to whatever pharmacy is open. And I thought, well, yes, but that has nothing to do with real estate. Well, no, but if my aspiration is for my kid to feel better, I'm going to go take care of it. I'm going to know that I have to get medicine. I'm going to know I have to get it from a pharmacy, and I'm going to know that I have to go find one that's open in the middle of the night to get it. So as much as that was kind of a rude statement to me at first, it really does make perfect sense. So you have to go after the business as if you're getting the cure-all for whatever ailment you have. How badly do you want it? All aspirations begin as wants. However, wanting something's not enough. Therefore, your wants must evolve if you expect them to be realized. So what is something that we all want in this business? I'm asking you individually now. Is it a number of transactions or is it a dollar amount? Laura? You're muted.
What do I want? I feel bad that I don't have a specific answer. I think I'm still very much in learning mode. And I think my biggest goal is to feel like I not mastered everything, but to feel like I really have a handle on all of the aspects. I'm not really motivated, and I'm lucky to be in this place by a specific money goal yet, although I'm getting there. I just more want to learn and understand and know how to do everything and how to grow my business so that the money comes. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I think it's very vague, and you're not going to find yourself in the direction if you don't really know where you're going. It's kind of like, how do you know what you're asking for if you don't know what you want? So
true. I'm goal setting is not my strongest strength. I'll put it that way.
okay.
I have kind of found my way in life by dumb luck, and it's served me pretty well, but it's not always the best plan. I'm just totally being honest here.
No, I appreciate that. And I'm not trying to I am putting everybody on the spot, but I'm not trying to do it in a negative way. We really need to hold ourselves more accountable. I mean, we're seeing the stats. The beginning of the year is always acknowledging the circle of excellence and, the top sales volumes and the top producing agents. And, it's saying, yeah. How did I get there? How can I get there? So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know an agent who, for the years that she's been in the business, and only been like 3 or 4, she says, I just want to make the circle. I just want to make the circle. So I'm like, well, okay, but there's like 28 levels in the circle. What level of the circle do you want to make? She's like, I just want to make the circle. Okay, so that's 100,000. So you want to make 100,000. At least put something in front of you so that you know where the finish line is.
Yeah. I set my goal this year to take advantage of every training and also to get a new certification. And but I need to set a monetary goal too. And I've kind of been thinking about it, like I read somewhere that you should want to increase your business by 5% every year. And I did the 5% and I thought, that sounds weak. So I need to set the goal.
Very good. And tie it to something. Maybe it's an extra vacation. Maybe it's a new car. Maybe it's a bathroom remodel. Carrie, what is your goal for this year?
I think I kind of sat through this before, and I think I was overwhelmed a little bit with learning everything. And like hearing it again, and I know it's updated, but hearing it again, it's been just kind of a little bit like, instead of my mind racing, I'm able to think a little bit clearly. And I know I do just continue to fall back on my past experience, but I feel like when I set specific goal plans for my other business, I totally changed the way the business was ran in my previous 2 generations of my family. We went from wholesale to retail, and I wrote out a business plan. I set goals, and I didn't even realize I made it such a mental, like just what I lived, eat, breathed, that when I went back and cleaned out my desk about, I don't know, finally had some time about maybe 7 years after that initial writing it all out. And I lived by that for maybe the first 6-8 months. And then it just kept going, that I went back and I read it, and I couldn't even believe I wrote down what I was doing at that time every day. And it was like, oh, wait a minute, this didn't just happen by chance.
Right.
I did write that down.
Yep.
And so as you were talking today, it's like, before when I heard this, I just couldn't even see the plan because I was so new, to this and what is the plan. But now I think I can sit down this year and say, or, the beginning of this year and say, okay, what is that? Like, now I've been in it for 6 months. I'm kind of getting to know the feel of how this business works. What can my goal be? So that being said, I need to know what money I brought in and how much time, and then analyze, where's going to be my time for my family, which was my original goal for this business, to make sure I had more time for my family instead of where I had before. And then what kind of dollar amount makes sense and how much effort. So I don't have an answer, but I do have a clear goal to come up with that answer, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. No, that's good. Teresa, what's your goal for this year?
Well, since I'm so new at it, I've only been in a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I feel better than I did a month ago. I'm not as scared or as panicking,
Awesome.
and it's so I know now to just let it evolve.
Okay.
And soak in all of the information and take it in. But my ultimate goal is to make as much money as I can. I want to be as efficient and learn as much as I can to be, a benefit to all the customers. So that's my goal, is to,
Okay.
is to make as much money as I can, and to be as, to learn as much as I can.
Well, when will you know that you've achieved that? Or how will you know that you've achieved that?
Well, I will know that I've achieved that if I've made 500,000 in 5 years.
Okay.
I'll know that I'm on the right path. Does
Okay.
that sound greedy? But that's
No.
the way I think, I'm getting closer to retirement, I'm not that young anymore. So I want to be as successful as I can, but I know that I can't until I get the training and learn as much as I can.
Okay. Okay. And Dan, how about you? You've been around for a little bit. How do you see your goals changing in your business every year? And you're muted, so we can't hear you. If you're talking, it's really, really hard to hear you.
Hear me now?
That's a little bit better.
Okay. My goal this year is online image. I want to have, I guess, increase my online image. I feel like the paradigm switch. Me being in the business 26 years.
You faded out on us. I'm sorry. We really want to hear what you have to say.
If I get closer. Is it getting better or not?
No,
Can you hear me?
very, very
Can you hear me?
quietly. We're all
I
like
don't
leaning
know.
into our computer.
What about now?
That's a little bit better.
Okay, I'm not sure where.
It's just kind of fuzzy, kind of like you've got, if you're outside, the wind's blowing on your phone. Maybe you want to try the chat button. If you hit the chat button, you can type in what you're going to say. I just would value your input. I'll give Dan just a second to maybe send us a message. But and I understand you're all, majority of you are new, and probably the majority of the people that are gonna watch this video after the fact are maybe gonna be thinking to themselves the same things. Well, I just wanna, make money. I just wanna have successful transactions. But the important thing is, how are you gonna know that you've achieved that? You have to have a finish line in there. So my goal this year is to make $350,000. That's going to take care of my college tuitions I have to pay. It's going to take care of, the vacations I want to take. It's going to get my new car. And I think we did get a chat from Dan. Let's see what he says. Okay, my goal this year is to improve my online image. Awesome. You need to start today. and how are you going to know that you've improved it? Are you going to see more followers? Are you going to see, more interaction? Do you think it's going to increase your number of transactions? Again, what's your finish line? How are you going to know that you've achieved that? But I like that goal is a little bit more specific. So, see if he responds. Using Boosh, okay. And Carrie said she can certainly help you with your online image. She can. and Boosh is actually an excellent platform. And I want to touch on a couple of things as we wrap up in here. When I'm talking about your finish line, you definitely should be using the deals part of Boosh to kind of get an idea where you're at money-wise and transaction-wise. So we will cover that in just a second here. All right. Let's go back onto here. Whoops, sorry. All right, what are the stages of an aspiration? I certainly don't mean to cut anybody off if anyone else replied on that. Okay. All right, the 4 stages of an aspiration. You've got to want something. You need to define and talk about it, although talk is cheap, but you need to get it out there, you get it verbalized. You need to desire it. You need to move towards it as long as the path remains easy and convenient. So you do want to be comfortable, but then to grow, you've got to get uncomfortable. You've got to get passionate about something. You've got to be willing to suffer about it. You don't want to become obsessive though, because obsession lets it take over and totally control your life, which can be unhealthy. That's the times, I was talking to somebody last night and she really has become obsessed in the business. And she said to me, I just want a day off. And it's like, well, then take one. Take a day off. Why can't you take a day off? Well, I got to chat here really quick. Dan said he would love some help with the online image. So Carrie, you'll need to reach out to him. All right.
Can I add something in about taking a day off?
Yeah.
Learned probably just this week that, because I like to go to the gym, but I also feel obligated to answer my phone. And the gym used to be like I could go and kill 2 hours or 3 hours and I could just get lost in there. But now I have to schedule it and we get 1 hour. So that 1 hour is very important. So I'm learning that lunch appointments with my friends is an appointment. Working out is an appointment. So when somebody says, can I reach you at 11? I'm in an appointment from 11 to 12, but I can reach you after, because that's important time for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so glad to hear you say that. Because I do take half a day's off, or I take a whole day off. And, you know, if someone says, well, I tried to reach you yesterday. Well, I'm sorry, I was out of the office. You know?
When I was at lunch with a friend, I have an appointment.
Exactly.
Everything.
Maybe your doctors take days off, your lawyers take days off, your teachers take days off. So you're running a business, take a day off. So, okay. No, thank you for acting or injecting that. Because I said to everybody just when we talk about activity management, that's on the next session. That's one of the things you got to time block, you know, take a day off. What's your day off? Let me see what I think Dan was injecting here again. He said it's hard to do in this fast market. Yes, it is. It is. But are you running your business, or is your business running you? So it's a wake up call, and we've got to get more defined about this. I don't want to go at the calendar and see that I've worked 21 days in a row because I'm going to be feeling frustrated and burnt out at that point.
The first thing Aaron Bennett Thomas told me, and I need to do better. I haven't improved on this yet, but it's something that pops in my head, is he said, don't be a Pop-Tart agent. And I said, what does that mean? He goes, don't pop out of the toaster the second every one of your clients calls you. You know? Because then once you get in that habit, you never get out of it. Now,
it's hard.
Walking out of the habit? No. But I'm trying to kind of like, okay, does this require me to jump up right now and do it? Or can I put this off for a few minutes or what have you? And you generally know about your clients. I've had one that if I didn't respond within 5 minutes, he'd call the listing agent himself. But others are more patient if you can't.
And Dan just made a comment too about, you know, it helps to partner with an agent to cover for you when you're taking that day off. And I've had that too. I've reached out to agents and say, hey, I need to lay low, you know, tomorrow I'm moving my son back to college. You know, can you take this or take that? I mean, but yeah, Dan, you're right. You've got to learn that that's how you're going to be able to take a day off is having somebody cover for you. All right, so you must be willing to progress to the passionate level. No one's passionate about making more money. They're passionate about what making more money provides. Vague aspirations end up in a vast wasteland of wants and desires. So again, get your finish line in there. When you attach your personal needs, wishes, and dreams and endowments to your career activities, you in essence create passion links. And that all comes together when you're saying, well, I'm doing this because I want to buy a bigger house or a brand new car this year. You tie that personal desire into it, and it's going to fuel your need for success. This is probably the best advice to live by. How you view your daily activities matter. Do you get up and look at what you get to do, or do you get up and look at what you have to do? Because if you get up and look at what you get to do, I get to meet with clients today, I get to show houses, I get to go over an inspection, it brings about that passion, it brings you pleasure. You're not working if you love what you're doing. There's truth in that. You're going to embrace the opportunities, you're going to take action more willingly, you're going to find it more fulfilling, and that's going to bring about the abundance. When you get up and look at your day as what you have to do, it's a chore. Everything becomes a chore, becomes painful. You want to resist it. You're going to procrastinate endlessly. I have a 17-year-old that does it. Your day's going to feel full, and you're going to get frustrated at that. And days, whether you look at them as get to or have to, add to weeks, to months, and add to years, and even to the rest of your life.
Can I add to that?
Absolutely.
So when we were talking about the kind of agent you are and responding to the clients, I'm getting a real good lesson in this last month or so of that makes a difference on who you choose as your clients. And some clients you're just gonna have to let go. So, if they don't treat you with respect, and that's part of your time and how they speak to you, then you need to let them go. And I think I'm gonna let somebody go this week.
Good for you. Good for you. I think it's a good metric you reach in your business when you feel confident enough in your own success and the service you provide that you do fire clients. So yes, I've had to fire a couple. So not the same as, you know, my husband who works in the corporate world firing people, but you got to fire people. All right, so make categories of your aspirations, make them a priority, and what amount you need to fulfill them. Once you've established your appropriate funding categories, the next step is to prioritize and budget. And these are just, you know, prompts for you to use. They're not definite things, but this will really open up your eyes. It will really align your vision and put you on your mission. You want to be intentional and proactive with your money. So as an example, you know, not funding something on your plan should ignite a feeling of pain. So what are your family expenses? What do you need to put in savings? What's your retirement goal? You know, what's your college fund? What about early retirement? You know, what about a rental home fund? What about taking 2 family vacations? What about that new car or the vacation home fund? And any charitable donations you want to make, and don't forget to set aside for taxes, right? So, all right. The entrepreneur's mantra: it's unacceptable for my business to profit less than, and this is that finish line. Put that number in there. Mine is 350,000. You know, Teresa, you said 500,000 over 5 years. So let's break that down to 100,000 a year. You know, Laura, you just said be efficient and get to that point. So everything's kind of sufficient, right? And running, you know, put a mark on that, whether it's 10 transactions or a transaction a month. You know, you've already got one in January, get one in February, right? So, and you know, and Carrie, like you said, you've written it down before and it came to be and manifested itself. You know, get something written down, but place your yearly expected profit in the blank above and put it somewhere so that you see it. You know, mine's on my computer screen. So put it somewhere that you can see it. I thought Dan was going to inject there. Note that now that you've established a meaningful economic benchmark, you can begin designing an appropriate funding vehicle. This entails assembling your business, which is your GPS, your goals, your plans, and your strategies, and equipping your vehicle with the appropriate GPS. Remember that you get out of life what you put into it. If you intentionally have no life plan beyond simply existing day to day, you'll most likely squander your time and never reach your full potential. They say the cemetery is the richest place on earth because of all the unwritten books, all the unproduced movies, all the unintended inventions. So live today and make those things happen today. Remember that real estate sales is basic. And it's also a numbers game. What are the numbers that go into your real estate business? There's 28 beliefs, 3 models, 8 functions, 14 responsibilities, 6 ancillary arms, 94 vital activities, 13 dollar productive activities, 14 key performance standards, and all in a day, 24 hours. So we kind of break these numbers down a little bit more in the other classes, but I'll give you an overview on here in just a second. Just remember that every thought has a physical consequence, for better or for worse. Beliefs determine perspective and justify your behavior. In order to stay focused on the right activities, you have to establish and internalize positive, productive beliefs. The beliefs you possess act as behavior filters, and when pieced together, begin to create your character and shape your legacy. Let's dissect what a belief is. It's a habit of the mind. That's that simple. It's acquired by frequent repetition, something that happens often, and eventually becomes a truth to you, the state of being, the case of reality. And that can be as simple as or elementary as the boogeyman. You know, if you were, you know, as a child, if you went in a dark room, you were sure there was a boogeyman hiding in there. If that was a belief, it became a truth. But did it ever really become a reality? Well, no, because you never went in the dark room. But it's a habit of the mind. So start creating some healthy habits in your mind. The truth about truth, what you frequently think about becomes internalized and accepted as truth. Truth, once internalized, guide your thinking and thus your behavior. Your beliefs ultimately define your reality and thus your world. And having well-defined beliefs makes it easy to say yes or no. Bottom line, what you think about, you bring about. And that's so true in everything. When you're sure you're running late and you're going to be late, guess what? You're going to be late because you've already created that reality. So, and turning around into something positive. As much energy as it takes to worry about something, you can use that energy to actually produce something positive. Some core entrepreneur beliefs: there is no growth without discomfort. I live in a world of abundance. The market does not and will not determine my income. My only limit is time. Focus is the key to success. I reap what I sow. Success stems from duplicable processes and systems. It's unacceptable for my business to earn $0. People have lived before me. Leverage is the key to abundance. It's a win-win or no deal, and cost is only an issue in the absence of value. Real estate sales beliefs: real estate sales can be a get-rich business. Real estate sales is basic. Real estate sales is a task business. I will not convert 100% of the leads I do not generate. People will trust and follow only what I can logically and tangibly explain. And it's unacceptable to leave the client's money on the table. Absolutely. I had a conversation yesterday on the client's money on the table. And it was simple as a radon reading came back at 4.1. 4.1. And the agent said, she called me and she said, I need a radon person. We're going to have it mitigated. I said, well, what was the reading? 4.1. I said, no, you're going to have it retested. You are not going to take that seller's $1,500 and have a radon system put in. You're going to take $100 and have it retested. Oh, can I do that? Absolutely. So she said, well, they just said they'd go ahead and fix it. May not even need fixed. It would be worth the investment to have it retested. And especially with those tests being a 48-hour window, in a home that you can't control, someone didn't open an extra door for an extra 10 minutes and so on and so on. But that's an example of leaving the client's money on the table. Don't do that. Back to the top with no growth without discomfort, we're all going to have to get uncomfortable. And, if any of you have started your videos, you were certainly getting uncomfortable. So get uncomfortable, make those videos. Teresa, I don't think you were in that class, but you definitely need to make a video message, make an icebreaker to send out to new clients. Actually, just send it out to everybody you already know and just say, hey, I've created this icebreaker message. Tell me what you think about it. So Dan, I don't know if you use video in your business, whether it's, an open house kind of, or a virtual tour kind of thing that you're doing. But, if you haven't used video before, you really want to start using it. That's going to increase your online presence too. Right, Carrie? So, all right, some listing beliefs. Homes sell for two reasons. Hold on, Dan made a comment here. Let's see what he says. Oh, sorry. Not yet, but it's part of his goal. Awesome. All right, homes sell for two reasons: price and exposure. The pricing game is all about justification. Pricing is neighborhood specific. What's put in motion stays in motion. That's positive or negative. So either way, it's going to go. Pricing homes is not an exact science. Some buyer beliefs: time reveals all. Motivated, qualified, and loyal people buy homes. Having a process reduces the risk that comes with buyers. If they won't meet me, they are not a buyer. And Class A buyers deserve my immediate time and attention. Oops, I clicked off the screen here. So think of it this way. Your life aspirations, set up your financial requirement. That establishes your entrepreneur's mantra. This is your financial model. Then you're going to break it down into transactions. That determines your operational model and your organizational model. So your operational model is going to be the strategies and the activities that you use to achieve those transactions. The organization model is the functions and responsibilities. And even if you're just a single agent, you're doing all of this, but you need to know what pots you have your hands in, okay? And the performance standards, that's going to be your career development model, okay? So that you can see how things are coming together for you. The financial model includes, as we just talked about, the entrepreneur's mantra. What's your profit requirement? Your commission rate schedule. What's the average commission that you're going to get? Your transaction benchmark, your volume. How many transactions are you going to do? How many, what's the price point? Your financial statements are your expense budgets, your balance sheets, your income statements, etc. You want to lead with revenue. You want to limit the debt and maintain a reinvestment strategy. You want to keep your expenses low. Be frugal, but not cheap. Your operational model includes your real estate sales priorities. That means your lead generation, lead conversion, servicing your clients. Your lead generation strategies is that prospecting and marketing. Your lead conversion strategies, of course, is going to be buyers and sellers. Your servicing strategies, how are you supporting your clients? What systems are you using? How can you improve upon them? So know your value position. You must be engaging, useful, and unique. Study your game, master your model. I always have these brilliant ideas and then I realize I don't take action on them and then see someone else doing it. I'm like, darn it, I could have done that. Well, I can still do it and I can do it better. So that's my motto this year, is everything I think about doing, I really need to take action on it so I can do it better than the person that's already doing it. So organizational model includes your organizational chart, be function specific. What are you doing for buyers? What are you doing for sellers? Your real estate sales responsibilities, your complete job descriptions. All vital activities must be accounted for. Your knowledge, your skill, your dispositions, your expectations. Defining ideal candidates. This is talking about if you're going to start bringing on a team or you're going to have an assistant. Maintain a business and performance standards and develop the talent, meaning the person that you do bring on. I've gone through 3 daughters already and none of them are going to work out. So but basic sales economic revolves around the commission and volume. So to make money, you must adhere to a high commission, high volume, low commission, high volume, or high commission, low volume strategy, as these are the only valid business economic models. So it's fine if you're going to work at low price points, but you're going to have a really high volume of those to make the income. So real estate is a blank margin / blank volume business. High margin, high volume business. When you have a low margin times a high volume, you're going to get high revenue. When you have high revenue with low expenses, that's going to equal your high profit. So how do you calculate your transaction benchmark? You take your desired profit plus your operating expenses. That's going to establish your revenue required. So even though I say 350,000, it's probably going to have to be closer to like 370, to cover those expenses. Your revenue required divided by your average commission rate will then equal your volume required. Your volume required divided by the average sales price equals the number of transactions. Okay. If you break this down into buyer and listing departments, what are your small listings? Is that going to be everything under 500,000 or is it everything under 200,000? What do you consider a large listing dollar? What about, the seller's also buying, so you're going to get a second, deal off of that. In the buyer department, what do you consider small buyers and large buyers? And this is really just to kind of give you an idea of where you're going to focus your vital activities on this. The agent I was talking to the other night, she said, I've just been running wild with buyers and I really want to focus more on listings. So that's where she's taken her business this year. She wants to really focus on the listings. She's tired of being in the car all day, every day with buyers. Even though she said that's usually the fastest way to the closing table, she wants to start on the listing side. The basic operational premise: you've got to prospect to generate leads. You've got to convert those so that you can service those clients, and all the while marketing. The 18 core training classes that Momentum offers, we combine a couple of these into a class, but we have 10 classes across the board that we're doing. I do expires and FSBOs together. I don't do an open house, but I would upon request. The marketing I don't do referral, but I would upon request. The power of video and social media combined into one. I don't do a phone prospecting, but every class we do has some prospecting scripts if you're making phone calls. So it's kind of redundant, I think. Lead conversion classes, I do the listing conversion, and I've kind of wrapped the listing objections and pricing bootcamp into that. I do the buyer conversion. The business classes, such as today, the Real Estate's Perspective, the Leverage Summit, I kind of combined into the activities management. I have done the Master Team Builder class, and I would do it again upon request. The Emotionally Intelligent Agent, we just covered last week. And the Negotiation Bootcamp kind of goes along with the buyer conversion. So keep your eyes out for those. You should make your abundant lead generation plan. How are you going to get leads? What's your strategy? What do you know about it? And what do you need to have to accomplish that? Putting together plans will force you to strategically analyze each component of your operational model and help you determine your business strengths and weaknesses. Weaknesses will then be used to dictate the training and the development needs for the year. How are you converting those leads? Whether it's a buyer or seller, what department does it go into, what strategies are you using for them? What are the 8 positions of a real estate sales business? Well, here's where we're all wearing the hat. We're a listing specialist, we're a buyer specialist, we're a team leader. We're a listing coordinator, we're a closing coordinator, we're a marketing coordinator, we are our own administrative assistant and our own runner. So see which one of those you can maybe delegate some things out to. Why do most agents tend to move towards stuff, you know, that administrative work, that running work? Well, because 75% of it is that easy stuff. Only 25% of what we do is actually dollar producing. And so we need to focus on those. 7 vital listing responsibilities and buyers are all the same. Lead generation, converting, the administrative prep work that goes with it, marketing exposure, presenting and negotiating offers, closing prep, and post-closing activities. And we really break that down in the listing conversion class and then in the buyer conversion class. The vital activities are those that must be done. The relevant activities are those that must be delegated, and the irrelevant activities are those that must be ignored. Your ancillary arms represent the people and/or systems that relevant business activities are delegated so that you can remain vital, such as inputting the listings, you know, processing the closing statements. I mean, this all that administrative work are really should be delegated out to an auxiliary arm. What are the auxiliary arms, or to stay vital? Some examples would be, you know, the mortgage. Work with a lender that you know is going to handle everything the lender needs to handle. You don't want to have to chase down your appraisals. You don't want to have to chase down pre-approval letters, and you want to know they're going to keep in touch with you about where it is in underwriting. Make sure you've implemented a 16-touch system that's keeping in touch with those clients. 90% of agents fall down after the closing table. They don't talk to those clients again. There's no follow-up. Then they wonder why they're not getting repeat business or even referral business for that matter. You've got to stay in touch with your contacts. Title, you know, work with a good title company, someone that's going to handle the closing, going to handle the title commitment. You know, they're going to get it back to you on time. They're going to talk with the client. It's going to be explained well, because that all needs to come off of you. Start up an 8-and-8 short-term follow-up. You know, if you're farming, how are you getting out the word out that you're an agent? How are you keeping in touch with your farm? The home inspection. Work with a good inspector. You know, buyers choose the inspector, that's fine. But if it's a new inspector you haven't dealt with before, make sure you learn everything you can about them. Talk to them, call them. They're licensed professionals too. The 33 touch, that's the past clients. How are you staying in touch with past clients? They should become your sphere of influence. As soon as you close them, they should become a member of your sphere of influence. So make sure you're keeping on touch with all of them. The organizational chart, you are the owner of your business. You're also the team leader, and maybe you're also the listing and buyer specialist. Maybe you're also the listing, marketing, and closing coordinator. But work with a title company, work with a mortgage company, work with an inspection company, but learn to delegate some of these tasks. Again, we'll do more on the lead generation in the conversion classes that we do. So I'm going to flip through those, but that's in the handout that I sent you on email. And I think that should be about it. The 13, the dollar productive food chain. What's the fastest way to a closing? You have prospecting, presentation, the transaction itself, and then you're on to closing. So those, you want to, your goal should be to move from being totally vital to, you know, dollar producing. So you want to move up the chart from here. Start down at the bottom. Where can you delegate some of that prospecting work, or how can you, your presentation, get your listing conversation down, get the Class A buyers into your car, holding the deals together, negotiating, taking the listings, writing offers, all the way on to closing, getting a check. Dissecting your transaction benchmark into performance standards is crucial. So if you're saying that you need to close 20 transactions so that you can make that $100,000 for the year, you got to be able to track that. How many listings are being sold against the number of listings that you're taking? How many people have you sat down with that turned in listings or didn't? How many attempts did you make? And it all starts from the bottom there. The conversion rates, again, for listings, it should be how many people you're talking to, how many appointments are you setting, how many listings are you taking from those appointments, how many of those are actually selling, and how many buyer calls do you get off your listings. In the buyer department, how many people are you talking to, how many meetings are you setting up, how many people are in the car with you or out showing houses, how many offers are written with buyers. I mean, every buyer should be writing an offer. How many offers are being accepted and closed. There's no such thing as time management because you can't manage or control time. It is what it is. 24 hours in a day, 168 in a week, 730 in a month, and 8760 in a year. And you're not going to change time. You're not getting any more or less of it. Time passes by second, minute by minute, and hour by hour, regardless of what you do or don't do. It's impossible to manage time. On our next session next week, we're going to go in and dive into some activities management and what we can do in that time. You should be, budgeting your time. So it's crucial that you create a time budget by defining the number of hours that you're willing to dedicate to your career, daily, weekly, monthly, and even yearly, including those times or for days off. Once established, simply allocate each day's worth of time to one of the 4 key categories: that lead generation, conversion, client servicing, and your own personal training and whatever you're going to put into yourself. This approach will keep you on the right set of momentum and greatly support you in your efforts to be proactive.
Can I jump in for a second?
Yes.
So here's my biggest dilemma, and that's probably a lot of people's. So I mapped out my whole week. I got my calendar out and I put all the pages in the little book, like you do in January, and I made a to-do list on Monday. And on my Monday to-do list was probably too long because I'm still working on Monday to-do list. But I'll shorten it and all that. And that's great. And I felt really good about all my plan. And then I ended up working with this buyer that kind of fell into my lap with a lead. And that's great. That's the whole point of why we're doing this. You've said this to me before. But meanwhile, I find myself getting so absorbed into that one buyer, which I enjoy. I enjoy helping them find the house. We found a house. We did 3 offers. We found the house, etc. Well, meanwhile, my to-do list is like collecting dust. So now I'm gonna, on tomorrow or today, I'm going to be back starting on Monday. And so I'm how do you figure out that balance? How do you constantly be prospecting when you're trying to help a buyer? I need to be 2 people sometimes. Or maybe I just need to be more efficient as me, a one person.
Well,
That's more just a rhetorical statement than a question that you can answer perfectly like this.
Well, I like to say that I consider myself pretty organized.
You've got a lot of stuff going on.
Actually, what I do is I categorize things. I have a to-do list and it's always a page long. And then I go back through it and I say, what are number 1s, what are number 2s, and what are number 3s? And the number 1s, I have committed and vigorously committed to getting those number 1s done every day. And I do set out some time, and sometimes it's 8 o'clock at night. What do I consider my lead generation tools? It's keeping on touch with Facebook. It's putting out, videos. So in that time block that I put, whether one day it's at 8 o'clock at night or the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm making sure I get those activities done. So I would prioritize it number 1, put it into the 1, 2s, and 3s. Because then when those 1s are done, the next day you're looking at your 2s, they become 1s. So it really does. And it takes a while. It does take a while to do, to get there. But that's what helped me the most.
Okay.
And you don't have to prospect every day, but you have to define what your prospecting tools are or activities and get them done. Even if you set a goal of get them done twice a week, you get them done. Carrie, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird little system that I've developed that's starting to work for me.
Awesome.
So I put everything into my phone calendar, because I felt like writing it down when it, like you said, your time shuffles. So I have, all these marketing ideas, and then I have appointments and Zoom calls and stuff like that. And then I have goals of, I want to try to reach out to 5 people a day, just in some way. And so I have what I do, because then I kind of feel like, what did I do? I did so much, but I don't know what I did. So I use the little emojis. And so if I've reached out to just make it a contact and just, I put a little hand there because like, I don't know, reaching out. And then if I accomplish something like my marketing tasks, I check mark them. I give a little check mark. And then if I went somewhere, maybe I took somebody and actually went to a listing, I do a little car. And then that gives me, and then I just also, if I don't get to whatever I need to get to, then I just can tap on it and change it to the next day. Or, okay, now my next day is full. I can actually probably do that next Monday. It's not urgent. So I keep shuffling all my appointments that way and all my tasks that way. And then when I look back and say, what did I do? I feel like I wasn't quite spinning my wheels as much as I sometimes feel like. I don't know.
Right, or that you got more done than you realized too.
Mhm.
That's another key, Laura, is at the end of the day, and we'll talk about this more in the activities management, to go back at the end of the day and see what you got done and what it applied to, whether it was something you did marketing that you didn't realize, or a client service that you didn't realize that. So then you really feel more accomplished and look forward to the next day. So,
And then if I don't have enough like hands out there and I'm just, then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm spending too much time over here and I need to balance it. So then it helps me reprioritize what my next things need to be, because they continually change depending on what you've done, what you have in front of you, and what your goals are. I think Dan chimed in.
He did. He said, I use Google Task app. It allows you to put due dates for each task. Yes.
I think automation is great, but I've finally learned about myself that I'm a out of sight, out of mind person.
Yeah.
Which my husband thinks, why do you leave all your stuff everywhere? I don't leave all my stuff everywhere. I need to see it. I need to know that it exists. Therefore, I remember to do it. So even though I use my phone for like appointments and hey, in an hour you have booze. Hey, in 2 hours you have an appointment. I do that because it chimes me and says, hey, you need to pay attention to this. Something's coming up in an hour. But for my to-do list, I like things written down on a piece of paper that I can draw a line through or what have you. I think I just need to get better at, and I don't know if it was one of the training classes you gave. Oh, it was in the videos that they send us, that Remax sends us, the Perfect Agent System. I love that program. And it talked about if you make a to-do list so big that you can never finish it, it's defeating. So keep the to-do list. Like I did this brain dump. There's just all the things in my brain that I know I need to do at some point in my life, the next week or two or whatever. And then, walk the dog, wash the dog, whatever. But important things too. So then I did that, and then I made a to-do list, and that was helpful. And I think if I hadn't had a client, I probably would have gotten the whole week done. But of course, I'm thrilled that I got a client and I wrote a contract. But that helped me. So I guess it was just everybody's got to find their thing. What's best for them, number one, and stick to it. And I have found that if I have too many things on my to-do list that I really either don't feel or don't really want to do, I am the queen of procrastinating. And then I keep staring at that list going, I can't get a to-do list done because look at all these things I never get done. I put the things on the to-do list that are important and things I know I'm going to want to do and will get done. And then I get them done. I'm like, oh, I can do a to-do list. So it's like a mental game, I guess.
You beat yourself up and hug yourself all day long, don't you?
Yeah. We have a love-hate relationship here.
Absolutely. All right.
With chocolate, though. It's all good.
All right. All right, the last few pages of the slides here are some, handouts and things that we covered so that you can use in setting up your goals and writing out those fundings that you need. All right, so feel free to use them. I sent that to you. Sample retirement needs template, monthly payment calculators, and that concludes the slides on the Momentum program. I just want to jump really quick onto Boosh here for you. Let's see. Let me move you guys down here. We got a chat here too. Oops.
Puppy.
You're welcome, Dan. Let me get on to Remax. And I covered this, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I wanted to show you guys that the deals so that you can get your things in line so that you can see where you're at with them. So, you know, make sure you got your buyer in here, Laura, that you just got. They're in Bouge.
It was a Remax lead.
Awesome. So they're in there, but have you put a deal in there? Have you assigned a task plan?
I was so busy showing him houses that I didn't. How do you like that answer? No, I haven't yet, but that's a good yes.
Can everybody see the Remax dashboard, or do I need to reshare?
No, it just says thank you on the screen.
Okay, let me get that. There we go. Now you're in here. So when you sign into Max Center or Remax.net, you want to go into your Bouge and you want to go directly onto the tab that says deals, which is right next to the contacts. How convenient.
Like this timing is perfect since today's the first day of my new year. Then I can get off to a good start.
Awesome. So you got contacts and leads, you're going to put your people in there, and then you're going to go into deals and create a deal for them. And I don't care if you only have them pre-approved and you haven't gotten them out in the car yet, get them in here, because there's a stage that says prospecting. There's a stage when they're active, there's a stage when they're pending. And as we discussed in the Bouge class, which is on Tuesday, we can dive into those task plans. And like I said, you can create your own task plan. So if you've got a checklist already that's working for you, like Dan, you probably have a checklist in place that you use when it comes to buyers and everything that you're doing with them, and put it into the Bouge, and it will fly seamlessly for you once you do. Okay, so again, even if you just met a buyer, you've got a pre-approval, put them into your contacts and leads, and then put them into a deal. Set them up on a deal. Put it in as a new deal. Very simple. You're going to enter in their name, their target price, the commission you expect to get from it, origination date, when do you expect to close them. You're going to sync it with zip forms, and then you're going to go ahead and get them onto the board here so you can see where it's going, okay, where your business is growing. All right. Any questions, or I can wrap up here for everybody? We're all good? Thank you so much for joining us today. I'll send you a recording of this, and I'll see you guys soon. Have a great weekend. Let's see, and